Yeah, everybody. Good day, and welcome to another another video. I'm just trying to figure out a way wherein we can at least make some sense as to the way the political dynasties in the Philippines has been trying to ruin, have been ruining the Philippines, and you can see for yourself the the uh, uh, the outcome. Say, for example, the economy, how the economy has been going on. Like, say, for example, where the GDP stands, which is an indicator of how economic progress of the Philippines is going on. It has been low for the most part of the year, and even the years before that. See, the problem is the mindset of corruption from the top to the bottom. Even the tricycle driver will charge you for a distance that's only, you pay only $15 for that. If you're new, and for example, like me, I'm not I'm not from there, they would charge me something like a 25 pesos. Or one time I was charged for 20 because I was carrying two sacks of groceries and a backpack. They charged me $50. I don't know why it was, but that's just one corruption that you can see from that. Now let's go back. The infrastructures from the Philippines, the roads, bridges, and I see a lot of these things. They are not being maintained, and even if they are maintained, they are still lacking the stability of a bridge that would survive collapse for say fire, earthquakes, and all that. The main thing that I have been noticing is that every single year, right? It seems to me that they're always surprised of earthquakes, typhoons, and flooding. Well, to tell you the truth, from 50 years ago up to now, nothing has changed. There will be floods, there will be earthquakes, there will be typhoons, but on a yearly basis, the 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 regularity of all these things that happen, the Philippines should not be surprised of this. What I'm saying is that they should know that it's coming. They should be prepared beforehand of all these things that are happening. Dredge the riverbanks, or tunnel floodgate, uh, flood pumps. Everything has to be done, you know, planned and executed long before these things happen, so that when disaster happens, there is already an infrastructure or a uh, uh, mitigation, that will suppress any disaster from it all. Like, if there is, say for example, typhoons, there's about an average of 25. Some of them don't develop to become a strong typhoon, but there would be one that would ruin your day. So they should already have that, not only the mindset, but the preparation for that, before evacuation, after evacuation, and the repair of those that are those infrastructures that have been damaged. So there should always be a fund for that. There should always be people trained in disaster. There should always be, evacuation. All that kind of stuff is pretty much, uh, very much easy to do, but hard thing to do. Why? From politicizing everything to uh, corrupting everything. There's so many ways wherein things can go southbound. Corruption in ways like I seen some one time a long time ago. I seen relief goods. These are relief goods for well, there's one whole truckload of rice, and then it goes into the vice governor's or governor's place. It's separated, in small bags, batches that can accommodate families from left to right. And then what happens is that, okay, everything is distributed. When I go back to the place where it was, repacked, you will see about a ton of rice still left behind in there, and I don't know what they did with it. That's corruption right there. Yeah, I don't know. They resold it. They resold it, and for example, the milk before there was bags of milk. This was in the 1960s, and then this bag of milk had had a label in it, USAID. Then my mother noticed that somebody was selling a whole bag, which was half the price. Like it was only 5 pesos instead of 10 pesos. But when she read the label, it was U.S. aid. Well, she took it because it was half, repacked everything, and sold it as is. Now, that's only one, one, one example. It's not even the worst. The worst is from the the people running the show, from contractors, from engineers, from politicians, and the like. Now, the other thing that I noted is that, well, that's only for typhoons, the flooding. There was not a time. Well, there was a time, and it's called Spania Boulevard in Manila. Since the 1970s, it's been flooding. But one time, 1975, I think it was, it flooded so much. But the next year, I noticed that when it rained so much, there was no flood. And I noticed before the flood, they were digging all these canals, and they were expanding some drains, and along Blooming Street, along the side of UST, and all that. Also, there was I could see piles and piles of debris from the draining uh, tubes that they had. So when it rained so much, there was an initial flood, which was only about ankle high, and it subsided like in about, say, 4 hours, and it was gone. Now, 50 years later, I saw a video of somebody videoing the area, and by God, it was up to above the knee of this ball, which was about 5'6". So that's very, very high. I said, what happened to all these years, 50 years? They couldn't solve that problem. In a city I lived, in the USA, there was once a flood, and it flooded real hard. And 5 years later, it's impossible to see any flood on that street because I saw the drain. You know, they planned, executed, and built the drainage system in such way that even the drain pipe was at least 10 feet in diameter. You could fit inside the a 6 footer can fit inside. That's how big the drain was. And sure enough, when it rained hard, nothing happened. You know why? Because they prepared, executed, and planned the whole thing. As well, that's somewhere else, not in the Philippines. Philippines is so corrupt that I have told you the story about, my grandfather who was a lawyer for the DPWH or something, a Department of Public Works and all that. And he told me, look at this road. It's not finished, right? It's still gravel. You know why? We were walking on the street going back home from the market. He said, look, why do you think this road is still uh, gravel? This is right in front of a house, was well cemented, all cement, almost like a mansion like thing. Uh, why, Grandpa? Why is it like that? See, the owner of this house is the engineer, the project of a project that has this road supposed to be paved, cemented all the way to the corner right there, right where our house is. But it did not finish that because they ran out of money and cement. You know why? Look at this house. It's all built up, nicely cemented and all. I said, "Oh my goodness!" And knowing my grandfather was a wise man. He just laughed because he was working for the DVWH, and then I said, "Why is our house not the same as his?" Well, I'm not corrupt, and I cannot be corrupted. That was his answer. No, okay. Let's look at the things now that's happening in the Philippines right now. The vice president of the Philippines has been concentrating so hard with the release of his father, which is a futile uh, exercise. It's exercise of failure. Everything that she is doing is that he's concentrating more on his father than in the Philippines. When he she does go to the Philippines and be like seen and heard, she accuses of everybody else except herself, except for corruption, except for uh, where the money went, 125 million or whatever $1 million, the debt, laptops and all that. She blames everybody else but her. And that's the sign of a person who is irresponsible. You have to own it because you were at that time the dep dep ed secretary, and if something happens, it's under your watch, and everything else, including projects that she thinks she's doing. It's actually because it is a requirement for her to do something. But when it comes to the from her heart type of thing, from her best thinking for the greater good of the Philippines, none in her head. It's more it's more kind of for the betterment of my name and my family. And that's a bad idea about being a politician. No good. Never trust anybody with a perception and attitude like that. Now, here comes the Marcoses. This is a sorry tale of 50 years or 70 years of having to deal with this family. This family is so corrupt that they have institutionalized corruption to an art and a science. Always remember that whatever they do, they are doing that for themselves, for the betterment of their families and families, extended families, the cronies, and their minions. My greater grandfather, my grandfather, and the lot almost became the minions of the Marcoses. The only thing that happened correctly in history was that my grandfather said no. He was approached by the then President Senior, Marcos Senior, to be an undersecretary of finance under, I think it was Verata or something like that. I'm not quite sure about the details, and he just told me that he just refused it outrightly, which was good for him because even though we are poor, we can hold our heads up, straight up, and tell all these people who corrupted the Philippines, go to hell because we know where you got your money. We know what you did with the Philippines. And in order for us to make progress, is to dismantle all these dynasties because they are just ruining the Philippines by lips and bounds. You know, what you need to do is do not, but you can tell anybody like that. But people vote in by emotion. People vote by, you know, word of mouth, but not by the word, but not by the actions attributed to these people. You know that these people are corrupt, but you still do it because you feel in your heart that they will change, or they are your compadre, they are your townmate, they are your, you know, I saw them on TV type of thing. That's the kind of politics that they, you know, rely in the Philippines. It's not informed decision type of things. So what happens is that dismantling this people will take at least a century, because there will be a time that none of the uh, descendants will go into politics, but it would be, you know, it would be shut to the moon if none of them will continue the legacy, this great legacy of their families. So the best thing to do: do not vote for Duterte, and do not vote for Marcoses. You vote for somebody who stands up on his or her own principles, and what they do is they should also be able to, you know, hold off temptations of corruption. The first thing that will come up to your mind is always country first, you second. Well, we'll see what happens. Right now, it's more kind of you know, a disgrace to most of the Filipinos. They vote through emotions and family, but not informed decisions. Okay, good luck to you.